Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. Intro.
Hello and
We're gonna
welcome.
do the hand gestures.
Hey.
Alicia's
Episode-
slap happy.
What are we on? 33?
33!
33? Oh my goodness.
Shit balls.
This is
We're gonna lose
exciting.
balls. We're gonna lose. I almost said we're gonna
balls.
lose balls at some point. We're gonna lose track at some time.
Yes, for sure.
And balls, probably.
Yeah. Somewhere they are and they won't be. That was English. You promised me a great fun fact last week.
I did, and I'm sorry to disappoint because neither myself nor my friend remember it, but I'm going to tell you a crazy case instead.
That sounds
Of
even
hers.
better. I'm
Okay.
excited.
It involves dicks. Who's surprised? Because I
Nobody.
seem to bring dick facts to Sierra's episodes. So this particular friend of mine is an X-ray technician. I'm not going to name her because she's a working professional and she's actually not supposed to share this type of thing. So she has given me permission to share it, but she just doesn't want me to use her name. So she is still new in terms of the X-ray field. So she gets shifts at various hospitals within 3 different cities. And at this particular week, she worked at 3 different hospitals. And the first hospital that she was working at the beginning of the week had a gentleman come in who was experiencing a great amount of pain in his penis. Mm-hmm. And so they were examining it. They were doing this, they were doing that. Nobody be eating for this. Okay?
I really don't like penis things when they get real bad. Okay.
Oh,
Continue.
it's real bad. So this guy couldn't think of anything that he had done in the last little bit. Like, couldn't think of anything that would be causing him pain. He hadn't had any new sexual partners, that kind of stuff. So they were like, well, we need to do some tests because something is happening where basically it was rotting from the inside out. Yes. So she is an X-ray technician. So typically she works with elderly people that are experiencing pain, people that have undiagnosed pain symptoms, and dead bodies that she gets to work with for crime investigations because she's so fucking cool. Okay? Shout out to my friend.
So, pause.
Yes.
I don't know
She
why.
X-rays dead bodies a lot.
Either I am having deja vu, which is really fucking weird,
I hope not.
or I recently heard... I feel like I'm echoing on your end.
No?
Sorry. I recently heard someone somewhere talk about something that will cause your skin to die.
I'm
What
sure
was
there's a legitimate thing. Is it
Okay,
gangrene?
I'm sorry. Yes!
Gangrene. Yes. So that is actually what he was diagnosed with.
Yes! See, either this is some weird fucking deja vu shit, or I literally just
Know of
heard
this.
someone...
Yes.
Like yesterday, though. Like, someone was just... I literally...
In their dick?
I don't remember, but I feel like, yeah. Like, what is this? What is happening in my brain?
I hope you know
Oh my
this.
God, okay.
Because the reason that I mentioned that she works at various hospitals is because this got passed to various hospitals. Because they could not figure out what was wrong. They couldn't figure it out.
God.
So when she did the X-ray, she was like, you see it, and tissue presents as like a bright white on an X-ray. So there was a bright white part, which they attributed to being the urethra, which is your pee hole, to be gross. so they were like, well, that's weird. Like, that wouldn't be causing it. So, like, what else is going on? So then they looked deeper at this x-ray, and they were like, well, it's a wider channel than a typical urethra. So something has to be weird there, causing this gangrene. So this fucking dude rolled a $5 bill up, and in Canada, our bills are coated in plastic. So you can't actually tear them in half.
Oh God, stop. Oh my God.
No, I'm saying, okay, you can't tear it in half.
Did it
so
cut
it's more
him?
No, he twisted it up, put it inside of his urethra, and he forgot about it. And so that what caused the gangrene, was the bacteria on the money that he put inside of his dick. And they had to amputate his dick, is the moral of the story. So don't shove stuff inside of your dick.
God.
Your reaction is exactly what mine was when she told me this story.
Listen, I don't know. I don't have a dick. I don't know how they work. But I can't imagine putting anything in there feels okay.
Why would you do that?
It's not a vagina. Things don't go in it. I regret asking you for this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. So a little more fun of a fact here.
Not a local case.
Is about Canada, though.
Oh.
Canadian scientists have recently discovered a new arthropod called the Titanosaurus, which means Titanic helmet, and it's been nicknamed the Mothership.
What the fuck?
An arthropod, for those who don't know, is an invertebrate animal that has an exoskeleton, a segmented body, and jointed appendages. Some examples.
So a bug.
Yes, some examples are insects and spiders, but also crabs and lobsters.
Yes.
Which are just like the insects of the sea.
But they taste really good.
Yes. Anyway, back to the mothership. The reason for the nickname, is apparently because it looks just like an alien spaceship.
What?
It even has...
I like how both your facts were about aliens.
I know. It even has these dangly little arm things, like at the bottom. Hang on, I'm going to show you a picture in a second.
I would really like it if dangly was taken out of the dictionary.
It's like, listen, it's dangly little arm things that look like the beams for like the alien beam me up use.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I can deal with. I just don't like the word dangly. It's gross.
I get that. Now let me show you a picture of it. Allow me to screen share.
Okay, I guess it's not a dead body this time.
It's not. It's an animal. It's an arthropod that looks like an alien spaceship.
Okay, go. No, not yet. Oh my god. Ew.
Look, it looks like a ship with the dangly little beam me up, right? This is its mouth under here, and these are his little arms. Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it is also, or was also, one of the largest living things of its time. Which, by the way, was a very fucking long time ago, like hundreds of millions of years ago. So
is there proof that they don't exist anymore? Because alligators existed back then, so I'm not confident.
No, alligators did not exist yet.
Okay.
Compared to a human, it's about the size of our forearm. But it lived during a time before there were mammals or even, like, fish. So most other living things on the planet were the size of our thumbnails. So it's said to have ruled the ocean floor for 500 million years. And in terms of history repeating itself, maybe alien spaceships are actually just this thing, but now much bigger, and we are the tiny thumbnail-sized creatures it wants to eat.
Oh.
And I expect a horror movie about Titanosaurus in the future.
If they don't, TM.
Right,
you
right,
must
right.
give Twisted and Encore credit.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Isn't
That's
that
cool.
so creepy?
That's very creepy. I don't like it.
Don't understand how they know that this thing existed 506 million years ago.
Don't want to know. There's a fossil somewhere.
Right. But maybe we'll talk about how in my story today. Hint, hint. Okay, so anyways, first we are drinking a delicious drink. Oh my goodness.
It looks like swamp
baby.
water on my side. Look at Sierra's screen only.
It's so
That's so
good.
cute. I like that you put the pumpkin candy on top of the cinnamon stick.
So this is a pumpkin sangria because it's our birthday month and
It's spooky.
we like
time.
fall, okay? The day this comes out is and we'll say this at the end, I'm sorry. September 21st.
Yeah, the
So
first day of
it's
fall.
Okay?
You make
is
all
fall.
of the sense, my friend.
Yes. It is made with the Seven Daughters Moscato that we had last week. You add a tropical mango juice to it. I used V8, which is around here somewhere. There we go. Look at
And I
that.
used Oasis Exotic Mango.
V8 tropical blend. It's healthy. It has carrots in it. Okay.
And it's the size of Sierra's whole body.
Yeah, it's delicious. And then, of course, pumpkin pie spices. And on the rim here, I have maple syrup, sugar, and pumpkin pie spice. And then a cinnamon stick on the inside. It's delicious.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Sierra keeps blowing me away with these recipes. I'm like, why would you put pumpkin in wine? Delicious.
Yeah.
It does also call for pumpkin spice liqueur, but that does not exist at the time that we are recording this. So
The time you're
plan
listening,
accordingly.
it
does
probably
exist.
does. Yeah. Because that'll be the first day of fall.
Yes. But if you want to be bold, like Alicia was, and misunderstand the assignment completely in terms of the recipe, you can put pumpkin spice in your drink.
I
And
did
it's
a
not
little
bad.
dash of it.
You did? You
I
Okay.
did not do enough to make it look like swamp water, though. Mine is still.
Mine
orange,
also
like a
has
pumpkin.
6 cinnamon sticks in it, so it's been so good.
6? Jesus.
Well, in the whole thing, in the whole
Oh,
blender.
right,
I've
right.
got more.
Yeah.
I've got more, so.
You have a very large pitcher. I just have my glass. Sorry, I cannot stop drinking my drink. Okay.
It's really good. Sierra, I would like to give this a 9 out of 10.
Oh, thanks. We should totally start doing that.
Start rating
Why are
them,
we not
okay?
rating?
Yes. Let's rate. That's a new thing, guys. You're part of this brainstorming.
Yeah, send in your reviews of our
If you get to try
sangrias.
it, yeah, let us know what you think. Yes, that would be fun.
Yes.
Give us your ratings too, because we're trying all of these things new. Like, if anybody's drinking with us,
We'll average
might
them.
be. Yeah, I like this one. I'd give it a 9.5.
So, time to get into this. Do you remember?
What is our category today, Sierra?
Oh, I'm sorry. The category today is conspiracy.
Ooh, okay.
It's a good one.
I know, I'm stoked.
Do you remember when we were talking about Israel Key's theories on our Patreon bonus episode?
Yes.
One
About
of
possible murder victims, where he
Right,
was,
right.
when he was.
Yes. So, one of the theories that was brought up at the end on Reddit was that Israel was part of some government experiment because he joined the military out of New York, and there was an experimental military base there. This story is the story. I'm sorry. This is the story. I've already drinking too much. This is the story of the things that may or may not have happened on that military base. Camp Hero.
like that exact one.
That exact one.
Shit. Okay. I'm ready.
I have been wanting to cover this for a really long time, like since back when I first started the Basic Murder Babes podcast in 2019. I have a screenshot of the names of the people involved in this conspiracy theory on my old iPhone. The only reason I haven't covered it before is because there is just so much going on that I could not figure out how to say. Waiting until today did not change how much shit is happening in the story. So it's going to be hard to follow because the conspiracy itself is just almost, it just doesn't make much sense. So I apologize in advance, but I am going to do my best to explain it correctly and in a way that is understandable.
No doubts that you will do an amazing job.
If it's bad, it's not me, it's the story, okay? Like,
Guys,
for real.
it's bananas.
It's bananas. Camp Hero was first commissioned in Montauk Point, New York, as a military base in 1942 during World War II. It was actually decided by the Army to create this base because of the Pearl Harbor attack.
Oh.
It was meant to be a place of surveillance. The military wanted to have this base to watch, the coast, the East Coast, in case any of the enemy militaries were going to attack from that side. They had already attacked, the West Coast side at Pearl Harbor, so now it's like, well, we need to protect our East Coast side. Or at least that's what the government says it was built for. Since then, things have changed. It started as Camp Hero. It was eventually named Montauk Air Force Station, and now it is Camp Hero State Park. Some people now refer to it as the East Coast's Area 51.
Oh.
Claims of time travel, kidnapping, mind control, monsters, and more have come from this location.
Wild.
The idea for the TV show Stranger Things was actually purchased by Netflix with the original title being Montauk, allegedly because of this conspiracy theory.
I love that show so
It
much.
is so good. Okay, so what happened in the last 79 years to cause all this fuss? According to at least 4 people, a lot of what you see in Stranger Things is what happened. But
There's an upside down? Okay. I'm shutting up.
All started with a completely different conspiracy theory and a movie that went along with it.
Okay.
The Philadelphia experiment is what this first conspiracy theory was known as. But like most conspiracies, it is based in truth. The truth is that Project Rainbow was a CIA research project whose end goal was to cloak naval ships from enemy radar. They wanted to appear to be invisible, at least on radar tracking devices, so that American ships could send aid to their allies in other countries without being taken down by enemy military. Oh my god, side note. I literally wrote this side note down in my notes because I didn't want to forget to say it. I have been meaning to tell you this for at least a month, but it just never comes up in conversation. Jesse cuts John Singlab's hair at his barbershop.
What?
Yeah, the one of the founders of the CIA,
Yes!
100-year-old John Singlab. Jesse cuts his hair. I have pictures of him in my
so
phone.
Cool. That's so cool.
I'm like,
I bet you he's the coolest guy.
I want to talk to him so bad. Like, tell me everything.
Yeah. When he comes in for his haircut next, can you just tell me and I'll pretend I don't know you?
Right? It is. All right, I'm sorry. Back to the Philadelphia experiment, which was a conspiracy formed because of Project Rainbow. So, according to the government and the CIA, Project Rainbow, which was supposed to cloak a naval ship, in case we forgot, that was so long ago, never really worked. And at some point, they actually renamed the research to something else because too many people were starting to learn about it when it was supposed to be secret. So that is stuff that the government actually said. They actually said, we couldn't get it to work. They actually said, we're renaming it because we don't want you to know. So, already that's kind of contradictory, but whatever.
Okay.
According to the believers of the Philadelphia experiment theory, conspiracy theory, Project Rainbow was a success. Sort of.
Okay. I like that it's called Project Rainbow.
Yes, I do too. But it was, I believe the basis was when you shine a light on something in
it
one
creates
way.
a prism?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They were trying to create a prism around themselves.
That's cool.
Science.
Science.
So, yes. The Philadelphia experiment conspiracy says that in the 40s, Nikola Tesla supposedly did discover a way to make a naval ship, specifically the USS Eldridge, go invisible and be completely cloaked from Nazi and other enemy radar. But in doing so, he actually caused the USS Eldridge to time jump.
Okay.
It then got stuck in some sort of wormhole where it went from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Norfolk, Virginia, and back to Philadelphia. But when it came back, the people on board were not the same.
Oh.
Some of them were missing, others were frozen in place, and many of them were actually trapped and intertwined with the ship. So, like, half of their body would be on the top deck, while another half was on the bottom.
I'm good.
Or the metal of the ship would be, like, going right through a person's leg or chest or arm. Basically, like, what you've seen in any movie about time travel or teleportation gone wrong.
Needed no further clarification. But
I wasn't quite sure. I was like, am I explaining this good enough? Does this make sense? Because, like, just watch a movie. You get it.
You are. Yeah, you've created a visual. And I was also looking to see how far that, like, each state was from each other. And I was like, ugh.
Oh, yeah,
Too far. Too far. Too far for that to happen quickly.
I lived in Norfolk, Virginia for, like, 5 years.
I know you hate Virginia.
I do
All
hate
of our
Virginia.
listeners know.
But knowing, like, I was literally on the base because that's where I worked. Knowing exactly where it would have time jumped to is, like, eerie.
Yeah.
So this information was told by a man who apparently was witness to the whole thing when he was working with the military at the time in Philadelphia. He wrote a book about the happenings and told the story to those who would listen. And from this story of his, someone made a movie about the conspiracy called The Philadelphia Experiment in 1984. While watching that sci-fi movie in 1988, one man had a shocking experience. Memories that were either erased or repressed started to come back. He started talking about what he remembered, talking to psychics, undergoing hypnosis, trying everything he could to deep down into his mind to remember exactly what happened and why he was remembering these incidents. And boy, was it a lot of stuff. The man remembering all of this is Al Bielek. But he wasn't always Al Bielek. He used to be Ed Cameron. That's who he was when he was on the USS Eldridge during the Philadelphia experiment. Remember how I said some of the men were missing when the ship returned? Ed Cameron was one of those men. He, along with his brother Duncan Cameron, jumped off the ship while it was in its little wormhole going through time, and they went on quite a journey. First, they landed in the year 2137.
Oh.
They spent about 6 weeks.
Just a few years.
They spent about 6 weeks at this time having their wounds treated in a hospital whose main source of healing was through lights and vibrations. There were no doctors or nurses, just machines. And on their version of a TV in this time, there was no entertainment, only educational programming and news media. And the land was different too. Florida and many of the East Coast states were swallowed up by water. Atlanta, Georgia was a coastal city with a beach just a few miles out. Basically like any imaging that we see now, explaining what America would look like if all the ice caps melted. So I guess by then they did. There was also no president or even a government in 2137. Canada and the U.S. were one landmass controlled by martial law. There had also been a recent war. It was the U.S. and Europe versus China and Russia. The fight had killed off much of the population, and now instead of 8 billion people on Earth, there were only 300 million total human beings in 2137.
Oh my God.
That's a big drastic decrease.
Like an unfathomable decrease.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
After his 6 weeks in 2137, Ed Cameron was sent to the year 2749 without his brother, who stayed in 2137. In 2749, the land wasn't needed anymore. Humankind lived in floating cities ruled by Alexa. Just kidding. He didn't say Alexa. But
okay, good.
He did say
she listens to me all the time and sometimes speaks in French when no one's talking to her. So it scares the shit out of me.
He did say that it was ruled by some sort of AI tech that communicated with people telepathically. So like maybe Alexa. Everything in 2749 was socialist. There was no money. People just went out and got what they wanted. There was no government or wars or even militaries. People were just being. I like that. Too bad it takes till 2749.
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah. And there's no
Random
land anymore.
statistic.
I like the land, okay?
I like land, yeah.
Tell me the statistic.
I like Earth. Well, no, because you were just talking about like how the population had dropped. And I was like, what is the actual population? So as of this month, this year, there's 7.9 billion people recorded in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's only grown, shouldn't say only, 0.9 billion people were born in 10 years.
That's insane.
Like, what? 7 billion was the population in 2011. So, as fucked up as it is to think about the world dropping in population that drastically, it's like, well, it's grown that drastically. Like,
so, Ed Cameron, he spent 2 years in 2749, must have been fucking nice, and then went back to 2137, to the day that he left, I guess, because his brother was still there, and his brother was only there for 6 weeks, but Ed Cameron was gone for 2 years, so, like, he went back to the day that he left, so it was, like, 6 weeks still, you know?
Okay.
This is how it gets really confusing, I'm sorry.
I'm like wrapping my brain in the Marvel world where like half the population is gone. But everybody else is
don't even
aged,
bring that in.
Okay.
Because that is going to confuse it more.
Okay.
That makes more sense than this.
Okay.
So, he and his brother Duncan then went back to the timeline of being on the ship in the wormhole. So, recap here, because it just gets crazier. Ed and Duncan Cameron, they were on the USS Eldridge in 1943. The ship is in a wormhole of time travel. While in the wormhole, Ed and Duncan jump out to 2137 for 6 weeks. Ed goes to 2749 for 2 years. Then together they jump back into 1943 in the ship, still in the wormhole, where everybody else who are on board do not know that they even left. No time has passed.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have like a timeline of this in your notes or like?
There is a timeline of this on a website.
Okay.
Called Bielik.com.
We'll link the website. Okay.
Of course. So what does all of this have to do with Camp Hero? Well, apparently, the USS Eldridge made a quick pit stop in Montauk 40 years in the future on the same trip. So, it was August 13th, 1943, for everyone on the ship testing invisibility. But in Montauk, where they landed for just a quick second, it was August 12th, 1983. And Ed and Duncan jumped off here. This is where it gets the most confusing. So, like, if you're with me up until this point, let's continue.
Right.
If you're
need
not,
my map.
then, like, rewind it a little bit and refresh, because it gets weird.
Wild. Okay. I'm ready.
So, the reason... You don't need the map this time. We're not going anywhere else. This is just where it gets, unbelievable.
Okay.
Well, I mean, kind of all of it's already unbelievable. Oh, you'll understand. So the reason the ship was able to actually land in Montauk in 1983 is because there was another portal-like wormhole there at the time. In 1983, Montauk was supposedly doing its own experiments with time travel. One of the people working there at the time was Al Bielek, as Al Bielek, not as Ed Cameron.
What?
But the two versions of this same man were never allowed to meet. Maybe it would have caused some sort of like ripple-like thing because
the universe would have exploded.
Yeah, like I don't really know how that works, but I mean, technically, I guess they didn't either because nobody wanted to find out. They didn't let him meet. Ed was stopped by another worker at Montauk who realized that Ed was Al, and he convinced Ed to go back to his own timeline in 1943 and destroy the machines and the equipment that made it possible for him to travel there in the first place. Ed Duncan says he did do that, and he continued to live out his life as... I said Ed Duncan. Ed Duncan is not his name. Duncan is his brother's name. Ed Cameron. Sorry. Ed Cameron...
I was like, now he's 3 people. Awesome.
He continued to live out his life as Ed Cameron, working with the military on top secret experiments, but not on the Montauk ones. He actually eventually became a victim of Montauk when he told partners of his that he did not agree with some of the experiments that they were working on. He was forcefully brought to Camp Hero in 1953, where his conscience was extracted from his body and put...
Excuse me?
And put into a child, and he was born again as Al Bielek in 1927.
No.
Which is confusing because then they would have had to travel with his consciousness back in time to rebirth him. Ed Cameron was born in 1916 and disappeared in 1953. Al Bielek was born in 1927, but had the same conscience as Ed Cameron. So the two of them were technically living at the same time, but on different timelines or dimensions or something. I told you, it's really confusing.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. So,
no.
Baby Al...
rebirthing allowed.
Baby Al still had a lot of the knowledge from being Ed Cameron. He didn't have the memories, but he was an extremely smart child with the understanding of an adult, even as a toddler. According to him, he was referred to by friends in his younger years as a walking encyclopedia because he was just so much smarter than anyone could understand why. After high school, Al Bielek was recruited by the military to work in secret operations because of his smarts. Specifically, they wanted him working at Camp Hero. It was the 70s by this time, so it would have been called, at this time, Montauk Air Force Station. And Al's position at Montauk was a program manager for the Montauk Boys experiments. This is where the Stranger Things story comes into play. And before we go there, we are going to take a quick commercial break. And just a little reminder here, if you prefer not to have the little commercial interruptions, you can join our Patreon for just $1 a month to get ad-free early release episodes. Okay, bye. Okay, hi. The Montauk Boys was supposedly a secret mind control experiment that the government was doing with the help of known German Nazis who were given new identities and basically pardoned for their crimes as long as they helped. So, all of this so far is actually not too surprising because we all know that MKUltra was a real mind control experiment that was also conducted by the government, and we also know that Operation Paperclip was a real thing where the US government hired ex-Nazis for scientific purposes. Also, in Stranger Things, there are Nazis underground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the drug used in this Montauk Boys program was, not surprisingly, LSD. And this is where it starts to get a little misconstrued, though. So it's said that the government was trying to weaponize the use of LSD. Skeptics will say that LSD is a drug that makes you loopy and happy and silly, so you can't use it as a weapon on enemies. But from the conspiracy theory perspective, they weren't using the LSD as a weapon, they were using the boys themselves as weapons.
Yeah.
So, with the help of LSD, they were attempting to teach the boys to control their consciousness. So much like with Project Stargate, again, an admitted project from the CIA. We all know Project Stargate, right? That was the one that I talked about in the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Yes.
Psychicness, yes.
Correct.
The Montauk Boys program was meant to create psychics. Okay. But even more than that, they were supposedly trying to create little superheroes, sort of. So, like, it was more a group of boys, usually blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boys.
As the Nazis like.
That they were training to become a paranormal, supernatural army. Obviously, it didn't go that great. We don't have that today. But there were some successes out of the program. Again, supposedly. Just like the character 11 of Stranger Things, Duncan, who you may remember as Ed Cameron / Al Bielek's brother, was so advanced in his...
/ Al Duncan.
Right. Whatever the fuck he is. Was so advanced in his training as a Montauk boy that he could place himself in the mind of another human being, hearing what they hear, seeing what they see, and feeling what they feel. Literally just like 11. If you haven't seen Stranger Things, sorry for the spoiler, but why the fuck have you not watched it? It's amazing.
You've had so much time to watch it, I don't even feel bad.
Go. I'm not really sure how Duncan Cameron got recruited into this. The little I did find about him was extremely confusing. Something about him having his consciousness repressed into a smaller child, just like Ed / Al's was, but not because he got in trouble. Remember, Ed got in trouble and was forced to do that. Duncan's was, I think, from what I could tell, because Ed / Al just wanted to spend more time with his brother or something. So he's like, oh, my brother is now way older than me because I've been repressed. Please repress my brother too. I don't know. But apparently the repression of his consciousness is what made him so strong in the program as a Montauk boy. And they literally called him a walk-in soul. Whatever the fuck that means. So he
it's like ancient music all over again. What the fuck is that?
Music. I think
what the hell is that?
I think it means instead of when Ed Cameron got repressed into a rebirth, Duncan Cameron chose to remove his consciousness from his body and like walk into another person and take it over. Which is really sad because, like, what happened to that person's consciousness?
Yes!
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
It's kind of like, the host?
Yes!
Yes!
So, anyway, Duncan was not the only Montauk boy. As I said earlier, they were trying to make, like, a little military-sized group of supernatural Montauk boys. So, where did they get the other boys? Well, they abducted them, of course. Haven't you ever wondered why so many little boys in the 70s were going missing? Apparently, this is why.
Oh.
Also, apparently, many boys were going missing in the New York area, but it didn't really matter where they were going missing from because there was / is a time tunnel underneath the United States. So, by the way, the whole time that Al Bielek is working at Montauk. He's living in California. No biggie. He would just go underground to the time tunnel in California and instantly be on the other side of America in New York.
What?
He also time traveled to different times as Al Bielek. But not just traveling through time, also traveling through space. He visited Mars and a few other planets, where he was once on a quest to collect dark matter. He went to...
What?
He went to the year 100,000 BC, where many scientists had been conducting research of Earth before humans, which is why I said at the beginning of this, when I gave you my fun fact, that maybe they found it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. Don't make sense.
And
so he's able to fluidly transport between the two ideas. Okay.
And he went really far into the future to 6037. He didn't tell us anything, but I guess it's good to know that the sun and Earth hadn't collided yet. Figured that happened way before 6037, but okay. So remember I said there was a portal-like wormhole at Montauk when the USS Eldridge stopped there for a quick second. Well, you'd think it was because there's this weird underground time tunnel, but it was not. The wormhole was actually suspectedly created by what is called the Montauk Chair. This chair was what was used in the Montauk Boys program. I don't know what made it special. Some sort of alien technology that the government got from aliens that they are, I guess, friends with, ? I don't know. Back to Stranger Things, though, right?
Yes. And I also remember reading about the Montauk Project in general, so.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So that's really cool. Okay.
So the boys were kidnapped and given LSD and then forced into the chair and somehow tortured. There's literally a whole book on this that I didn't read because the author himself says you can take this as fact or fiction. So I think he may have exaggerated. But some people suggest that these boys were tortured with beatings, and others just say they were tortured as being related to the LSD in the chair. I think being kidnapped, drugged, and forced to sit in this weird paranormal chair while being asked to feel other people's pain is torture enough. So I'd like to think they weren't also unnecessarily beaten. But I'm sure there were some torturous mishaps during the experimental stages. Otherwise, the scientists would have just sat in the chair themselves. As the boys were taught to use their minds more and more, they were able to materialize things from thin air. Like they would just think really hard about an object while sitting in the chair, and the object would appear in front of them suddenly. The chair was pretty much always the key to this, though. It was turned on, they were sitting in it. Duncan, the all-powerful, started to be able to use these powers when he wasn't sitting. He wasn't really called the all-powerful. I just said that because I thought it was funny. Anyway.
I like it.
So on August 12th, 1983, the day that the Eldridge came in, they turned the chair on and left the area to see what Duncan could do from farther away from it. That is what caused the wormhole. The USS Eldridge from Philadelphia in 1943 came to be in Montauk in 1983. But the ship was not the only thing that came through the wormhole. Supposedly, when this away from the chair experiment went wrong,
Is it the Demogorgon?
Duncan accidentally conjured a monster from his subconscious with his ability to materialize things from his mind. Yes, it is. Except it's not called that.
I know, but I love Demogorgon, so just let me have it.
According to the book that I referred to earlier, which is called The Montauk Project Experiments in Time, quote, "It was big, hairy, hungry, and nasty. It showed up somewhere on the base. It would eat anything it could find, and it smashed everything in sight. Several different people saw it. but almost everyone described a different beast. End quote. I don't know this for sure, but I assume this is what led scientists, or whatever you want to call them, to tell Ed Cameron, who came in, to go back and destroy the equipment that allowed him to travel to this point in the future. Maybe they thought going back and stopping the ship from coming in would stop all the wormhole business, and then stop it from messing up the project with the monster. But I would imagine that going back and destroying it is actually what caused Ed to work on other things that he didn't agree with, which caused him to become Al, and caused Duncan to be a powerful walking soul, and then caused all of this to happen in the first place. Like, I don't know how time travel works, but it seems like an inevitable time loop. So,
Yeah.
What can you do?
Seems like you shouldn't fuck with it.
There's that. Sorry.
She absorbs my dancing, singing, guys.
I have something coming up that I need to prepare for, that's all.
Beep, 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 beep.
After this seemingly awful mistake in the Montauk Boys program, the entire base was shut down in 1984. Supposedly, the government erased the memories of all the people involved, cemented off the underground tunnels and areas, and gave the base over to the state as Camp Hero State Park. However, in July of 2008, a strange animal-like carcass washed up on the shores of Montauk, and it was immediately rumored to be the Montauk Monster.
Ah!
The Montauk Monster.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know. What is it?
It looks... Okay, so it looks like a goat, a bird, and a deer had a baby. Stay with me, listeners. It's kind of got a deer-like body.
Or almost like a gigantic rat.
Yeah.
Like gigantic. It kind of has a claw, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the appendages look claw-like.
This is definitely a beak.
Yeah, that's what I mean by bird. Yeah, that's very beak-like, but it also looks like it has teeth at the same time.
Oh, yeah, there's teeth under there.
And then some sort of feather hair situation. And...
yeah, whatever this is.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely looks like it walks on four legs, whatever it is. Just from the muscles and the position of
a tail.
The joints, and it does have a tail, yeah. Do those look like claws in the back, or do those look like feet?
Those look like feet.
Okay, me too. Beginning, like the front feet, claws, and feet, like feet. Like our feet.
Yeah.
That's what that looks like to me. Like that looks like an ankle in the back.
Gross.
I hate it.
Yeah. Others think that this creature may have come from another experimental site owned by the government, the Plum Island Animal Disease Center.
It makes me sad to think about animals being experimented on and turned into monsters, but...
yeah. But the next year, on Camp Hero, the base that was said to have shut down by now, this is 2009 now, the infamous radar tower unexplainably moved all the way around on its own. Police and the fire department were even called in to make sure it wasn't falling over, and they couldn't get it to budge, but it had clearly been moved, and no one knows how or why. And I am going to show you... sorry, I have a lot of pictures at the end.
No, I love it.
I'm showing you the radar tower now, because this is, when you hear Montauk or Camp Hero, this is what everybody pictures.
That's very unique.
Yeah, this is...
it's like an antenna and an electrical site made a baby.
Right.
Everything's making a baby for this.
It was for surveillance, for military surveillance, and there were 12 originally all around America during World War II. This is the only one that is still up today.
Okay.
All of the other ones have been torn down, and this one has not. I do want you to take note real quick of this fence here, and of this little house right here, because I'm about to talk about those.
Okay, I thought it was a shack, so I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah.
And as per usual, guys, we will share all of this on our website and our social media posts.
Yes. So to this day, there are sections of the park that are off limits to the public, including that fenced off area that I just showed you around the radar tower. And it's off limits so much so that blacked out helicopters and SUVs will come out of nowhere if you try to hop the fence into the restricted areas.
Out of nowhere.
What are they trying to hide, especially if it's all closed up and not in use anymore? Some brave...
It's like straight out of a movie.
Seriously. Some brave and probably stupid kids have gone into the area and have footage of them being chased out or arrested for entering the area.
No!
Yes. And inside that building that you can see next to the radar tower on the side
The
there.
shack?
Yeah. There are actually rooms that can only be described as psychedelic rooms, presumably used for enhancing the effects of LSD.
The acid rooms!
So, yes, the walls are painted in weird ways that almost make it look like vandalism with weird and, like, strange random color patterns. I have a picture of one of them.
Is it
There's
Strawberry
more.
Fields up in this bitch?
Mm-hmm. Might as well be.
I was going to say, if you don't understand that reference... What the fuck?
Yeah, so it kind of looks like spray paint, right?
Yeah, but it also looks like a preschooler, like, went in there with some color. And
check out the roof.
Yeah, it's weird.
If this is spray paint, how did it not get on the roof?
Yeah, that's weird.
So it's...
Because they would have had to paint over the roof afterwards if that was the case.
But it's all closed off, and if they were going to paint over it, why would they not fix all of this? So the roof isn't the only place that doesn't have the paint on it. There are, and you can't see it in this picture, there's other pictures in a documentary that I watched about this, but there's pictures of, like, the outlets, and none of the outlets have any paint on them at all.
Ew.
So it's as if...
And it's considered abandoned, so no one's going in there and switching out the faceplates on the outlets.
It's as if those areas were deliberately taped off when the painting occurred. So, like, it was painted like this on purpose.
Exactly.
Yep.
From somebody that just painted the roof of their bathroom and the walls, I can confirm that.
Right? Okay, so... The entire conspiracy theory of the Montauk boys, the Montauk experiments, even the Philadelphia experiment, it kind of sounds ridiculous. But like I already pointed out, MKUltra, Operation Paperclip, and Project Stargate were all real things that the government admitted to. And when you put all those together, it's not too far from this.
If I can believe your Boys on the Tracks episode, I can believe it.
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel so strongly about that one. Sorry. Anyway.
I'm right there with you. That's why I'm like, this isn't that hard to believe.
Yeah.
But I'm your other half, so I don't know about our listeners.
Anyone who believes the government is going to hate this. Sorry. Al Bielek, who passed away in 2009, put together a website with most of this information on it, and there are accounts of himself and 6 others, including Duncan, and the author of that book, Preston Nichols, who claimed to have worked at this base or knew that it was going on while it was going on. All of them were interviewed on the record with audio for the website, and you can hear that if you want to. I think it's like, I don't know, like $3 a clip or $30 for all of it. I didn't do all that. In my opinion, as crazy as this sounds, 7 men who all have the same stories, that's a lot of men telling the same story.
That makes it hard to ignore.
Yeah. And also, the base was, according to the government, initially built for surveillance, but then why did they make it such a secret location? I didn't mention this in the beginning, but when it was built, it was designed to be disguised as a fishing village. Like, they admitted that. But, like, why? It had secret underground tunnels with huge guns inside. Even as something as simple...
huge guns?
Huge.
Don't talk about fishing to me.
Yes. Even something as simple as the gym was put in a building that on the outside looked like a church. Isn't that strange?
What?
Like,
yes.
I feel like maybe they needed a church because they were doing some paranormal shit. Anyway.
Bless this area.
Please bless us from the Montauk Monster.
What the fuck?
Even during a war, I feel like it's a little too secretive for just a surveillance base.
Mm-hmm.
The cemented up areas were rumors, according to the government. They say that they filled in the undergrounds with cement, but that's all rumors, according to the government, because they gave up the quote-unquote official blueprints of the land, and in the quote-unquote official blueprints, there are no underground rooms or passages. But ground-penetrating radar done in certain parts of the park have proved that that is a lie. In my Dr. Phil voice. There is something underground. And
yeah, 100%. What the fuck?
you can see that, along with the photo and video evidence of the kids trespassing onto the area in the documentary called The Dark Files. I believe it's $3 on Amazon. It was so good. Yeah, The Dark Files, and it's a documentary. It's a documentary about a guy, I think his name is Chris. He's the one, oh shit, sorry. He is the one doing the documentary, like asking people to come out, and he gets a former CIA agent to come with him, as well as a journalist who is a complete skeptic. So he has someone from both ends of the spectrum coming
I like
with him.
that.
Yes.
I like that, though.
So I don't know if I think that everything in this conspiracy could be true, but I do think that some shady shit was happening in Montauk at some point, and maybe even still is today. I listened to Sinisterhood, which is another podcast who covered this, and they made a really good point that even if none of this is true, maybe the men involved here were a part of some LSD trial or experiment, and the LSD made them think that all of this was true. Like, these are the weird hallucinations that they would have when they were given the drugs. I think it's a good point.
I don't know. That photo that we analyzed of the Montauk Monster.
Oh, yeah, that.
I have a hard time ignoring that.
Well,
for obvious
again,
reasons.
There is another base that does... Not a base, another government building that does animal shit near there, so... It could have just come from the animal one.
That's true. Either way, it's horrible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like a monstrosity that's not natural, but I don't know. I think it's possible for time travel to exist.
I agree. Especially if Nikola Tesla's involved.
Yeah. Fuck. He's a renowned, reputable name to this day. So who's to say it's not true? I believe it, but I love a good conspiracy. So.
I also love a good conspiracy. I want to believe all of it, every bit of it.
So you're not going to find an opposing opinion with me, but you might with some of our listeners. So
watch The Dark Files,
very cool.
And then get back to me, because they, in my opinion, are able to debunk some of it, but unable to debunk a lot of it. So it's hard. I don't think everything in this conspiracy happened, but I do think it's based in some truth.
Yes.
And that's scary.
100%. It is. It's hard.
It was fun to research. I hope everybody understood it, and if not, research it more because it's fun.
That's wild. I love it. I love it so much.
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun.
Today
I won't do too many. Oh wait, do you have more?
Nope. I was just gonna do my end thing.
No, do your end thing.
Okay. Happy September 21st to everyone. Yes. Today we celebrate the birthday of Stephen King. Sorry about that.
That's fucking badass. Sierra's birthday is tomorrow.
Wait, along with the anniversary eve of Friends, which debuted on my first birthday, September 22nd, 1994. So that means tomorrow's also my birthday. But tomorrow, if you're listening to this when it comes out, is the anniversary of Friends. So, it's awesome. Go tell me happy birthday. Go watch Friends.
I'm dead. Also, knowing what you're doing for your birthday, I'm dead.
I know.
Stay tuned, guys. She will tell you about it.
Yes. You'll see all
We'll
the
keep it a secret for now. Yes. It involves Friends. Who's shocked? This is where we circle back to episode 1.
Right?
Where we played Friends trivia. And that's still my favorite. I love it. It's the birth of this little podcast baby. Why did I make it weird?
That is a little weird, but it's fine.
I'm sorry. It's the birth of the podcast baby. It is.
It is.
It's here. You're listening. You're welcome. Everybody's gone. We have no listeners now, thanks to me. But yes, we will see you guys next week for another episode. As per usual, follow us on all of the socials. We are at Twisted and Uncorked everywhere except for Twitter, where we are twisted_pod. Remember to leave a rating and review, guys. It is the best way you can help us out. And also, check out our Patreon if you want to go above and beyond and you're bored and you need some extra Twisted and Uncorked content, which we know you do. We've got Urban Legends. We've got monthly bonus episodes. We've got monthly Bitchin' Wines, where we just talk about everything and anything, and you get to know us a little bit better, which is kind of fun. And we do monthly series and recap discussions, where we release 4 to 5 episodes a month. So check them out. We got Staircase Summer that was out for the summer. 13 episodes of bonus goodness. Go check it out. And if you have something you want to hear, as always, write into us. Send us your listener stories, anything crazy, kooky, anything alien-like that's happened to you that you want to share with us.
Yes.
And as always, keep it twisted. Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked Podcast. Remember, if you like the show, to go leave us a 5-star rating and review. We couldn't do it without you guys. Now stay tuned to hear about another cool podcast.
Are you into top 10 lists? What about pop culture? Or maybe you're just a nerd like us. We've got a show for you, loser. Hi, I'm Nick.
I'm Brandon.
We're the hosts of the Tennis Podcast, a comedy and edutainment podcast covering a new top tennis list every week, including fun facts and trivia. We've covered lists such as the top 10 most popular 90s songs on Spotify,
The deadliest animals,
the worst U.S. presidents,
the leading causes of death,
the best-selling video game franchises,
the most common murder methods,
Okay, are you going to give one that isn't about death?
the deadliest jobs in America.
Listen to these and countless other top 10 lists every Wednesday at tennispod.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Top horror villains by their kill count.
I think we're done here.
If you listen to this podcast, there's a good chance you will die.
We are the 10ish podcast. That's 10ish. Bye.